All right, everyone. A Fruitful Autumn is the episode that we just got done watching. And last week, with last week's introduction of Millum into the Milim Diaries, okay, no, into the Slime Diaries, really. But last week's introduction of Millum is a continuation of what we got this week, and honestly, what we're going to get next week as well. As we moved into this episode, guys, we get the introduction of the autumn season, and with the autumn season brings on a lot of things for the nation of Tempest. And what they brought on was another round of harvesting. Much like we got earlier on in the season, when they had to go and harvest or begin planting for future harvest, we now get autumn when a lot of the different things are ready, like tomatoes, potatoes, and rice and things like that. Well, this episode, guys, was definitely how do we put it? It was one of the most docile, or one of the, not most, but one of the more docile episodes so far of the season. Now, the reason that I kind of want to start off the conversation with that is, from this episode, there were little moments to where I laughed, but they were in belly laughs, right? This is something I said kind of during our reaction. Pin cards, comments if you want to see our reaction. This is something I said during our reaction is, the anime has given me multiple moments of strong belly laughs. And in this episode, I just didn't get that. Now, there were moments of hilarity, so do not get me wrong. The whole scene with Shion versus Milim, I loved it. Now, I didn't think it was hilarious, but I did love it. I loved their competition. I loved the moments that they had between each other, the moment of competitiveness, and I like seeing kind of how their friendship is, because regardless of they hate each other, they still have this bond and friendship to where they would compete each other, because if they truly didn't like each other, they would just have nothing to do. They would stay completely apart. But I love how Millum the whole time keeps calling her One Horn. I love how Shion has these evil laughs when she was able to get one over on Millum. And ultimately, Millum was able to win when she found the biggest ass sweet potato on the planet, right? But I love how they even competed during the time with just getting the sweet potatoes. I mean, they were whipping all the sweet potatoes out, doing kamehamehas and freaking haryukens and moves, and just freaking getting all these sweet potatoes out of the ground. So I love seeing their competition. There was a moment where one of the goblinas, right, where she's the supervisor or super. I can speak, I promise. The supervisor of the whole kind of shebang charade. And she sees Gobta slacking off. She grabs him by the nose. And there was a scene there in the episode too, which was really I thought was pretty funny. I think for me, honestly, the most funniest thing of the episode was Trainee, and just kind of her being kind of the pinnacle of the episode with she finally got introduced into Rimuru's kind of circle, right? She finally was invited to something. So for the first time, Rimuru did not forget about Trainee. So she was invited, and a lot of the goblins called her out for being a cannibal because she was speaking to her own kind, and she was yo, these sweet potatoes taste fantastic, and they're yo, this is part of you. You're eating your family essentially. And then even so much so, at one point, she's talking to one of the potatoes, and she's listening to it. She has the potato here. She's oh, you want to be a fried potato, don't you? And she has it marked for the snack and bar. And she says sweet goodbyes to Rimuru, and he's oh, I'll see you again someday. And he walks into the freaking bar. There's Trainee snacking down some freaking French fries out of her sweet potato, her fried sweet potatoes, or her fried potatoes or whatever. And again, I thought that was pretty funny, but in all honesty, I just think this was one of the most docile episodes. Now, as we move into the next episode, it's Winter is Coming, and we get to see again more action for Millum. So I'm excited to move into the next episode. Again, I think one of my favorite things of the series, this anime, is just the strong focus on the seasonality, taking us through all of the events that happen in the core anime, and then all the things inside of those events. So if you think of each kind of event like a little triangle, right? The introduction, or the introduction of Millum, right? She comes in. Well, we get to see all those events that happen inside that the core anime didn't show us, right? So I really love to be able to see that. We're getting a lot of Millum action. She's going to continue on to next episode, so I'm really excited about that as well. And at the end of the episode, too, they kind of focused on Millum's weight. So I thought that was pretty funny. Rimuru says it at one point at the beginning of this anime, where he's like, "Yo, I can feel Millum's belly." And at the end of today's episode, right, kind of like during like the previous section, he removes, like he not removes, but he puts a sign above the scale. Les is like, "Hey, don't eat too much," and the girls are not happy about that. They destroy the scale inside of the bath, and Rimuru gets in trouble, right? And that's kind of our transition into next episode. So, again, guys, another good episode. I don't think this was the best episode of the season. It's just my personal opinion, right? Let me know what your guys' thoughts and opinions are of the episode down below. But, I think some of the strong focuses of this episode was like, Gapta focusing on trying to take down Hakuryu a little bit more. Benny Maru reminiscing of his dad. The trainee being a part of kind of everything that was going on and kind of like her omission and then kind of her inclusion. I really enjoyed seeing that. I enjoyed seeing more of Millum. I would like for them to focus a little bit more on Millum, just being honest, just before she ends up leaving, because she's going to inevitably leave. But I definitely like that. And then, definitely I like the question of, her being fed well and then seeing some of her servants or some of her followers at her shrine and her head fall off and they're all scared now for their lives. But, let me know what you guys thought about today's episode down below. I think this was another good episode, another good show note, Slime Diaries. Not all of them can be 10s. I think this episode was okay, but I'm excited for next week's episode to see what's going to happen during the wintertime. And hopefully we get a bigger event, because this is now like the second harvesting type episode that we've gotten so far. But regardless, I'm excited to see what comes out next episode. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments down below, guys. If you guys want to see my full reaction, click there. If you guys want to see a YouTube video that's recommended for you, click there. And we'll see you guys next week on episode number 9. Peace out, everyone.